The first time I heard the bell, I thought it was part of the tour. A soft, silver sound. Not loud enough to be a temple bell. Not close enough to be a souvenir. Just a thin little chime drifting through the ruins after sunset, moving between broken brick walls and headless Buddha statues like it had been ringing there for centuries. I was standing inside Ayutthaya Historical Park in Thailand with a recorder in one hand, a flashlight in the other, and a strange feeling in my chest that I could not explain. The park had closed hours earlier. The tourists were gone. The vendors had packed up their water bottles, postcards, and elephant pants. The city had fallen quiet. And still, somewhere beyond the old temple columns, people were walking. Not one person. Not two. A whole line of them. I saw their shadows first. Long, thin shapes sliding across the red brick ruins. Then I saw the clothes. Golden sashes. Ayutthaya does not feel like a place that ended. It feels like a place that was interrupted. That is the best way I can describe it. When you walk through Ayutthaya Historical Park, you are not walking through one temple or one palace. You are walking through the remains of a city that used to be one of the most powerful capitals in Southeast Asia. Brick stupas rise out of the grass. Buddha statues sit in silent rows, some missing heads, some missing hands, some staring forward with faces worn soft by weather and time. Tree roots curl over old walls. Birds nest where royal halls once stood. And everywhere, there is that strange feeling that something grand was cut short. Ayutthaya was once the capital of the Siamese kingdom. It stood for centuries. Then, in 1767, after war with Burma, the city was destroyed. Temples burned. Palaces fell. People fled or died. The capital was abandoned and never rebuilt in the same place. Today, the ruins are beautiful. That is what every travel site will tell you. Beautiful. Historic. Photogenic. A must-see day trip from Bangkok. And all of that is true. But beauty can be dangerous when it makes you forget what you are standing on. Because Ayutthaya is not just ruins. It is a graveyard with no walls. It is a city full of doors that no longer lead anywhere. And according to some locals, if you stay too late, you may see the people who never left. I went to Ayutthaya for a story. That was how most of my bad decisions started back then. I had been traveling through Thailand, collecting audio for a documentary project about haunted historical places. Not the fake jump scare kind. I was interested in places where history and folklore tangled together so tightly that you could not always tell which one had come first. Ayutthaya was perfect. It had everything. A real historical tragedy. A real location people could visit. Centuries-old ruins. And stories from travelers who claimed they had seen figures in ancient clothing walking between the temples at dusk. Most people described the same thing. A line of shadows. Men and women dressed like they belonged to another century. Bare feet. Slow steps. No faces. And always, somewhere nearby, the sound of a bell. I heard the story first from a backpacker in Chiang Mai. He told it to me over cheap beer and bad noodles, laughing in that nervous way people laugh when they want you to think they are over something. He said he and his girlfriend had gone to Ayutthaya for sunset photos. They were near Wat Phra Si Sanfit when they saw 5 people walking across the ruins in traditional clothes. At first, he said, we thought it was some kind of cultural performance. But there was no staff, no lights, no music, no other audience. The figures walked behind a brick wall and never came out the other side. His girlfriend took a photo. When they checked it later, the figures were not there. But something else was. A small blur of gold near the bottom of the frame. Like a bell caught mid-swing. I thought it was a good story. Not true, probably, but good. 3 days later, I was on a train out of Bangkok with my backpack, recorder, camera, and a little brass charm in my pocket that had belonged to my father. The charm was shaped like a tiny bell. I had carried it for years. My dad used to keep it on his keychain. He told me he bought it from a street vendor in Thailand when he was young. He never said where exactly. After he died, I took it. I do not know why. Maybe grief makes you collect small objects because you cannot carry the person. The bell did not ring anymore. The clapper inside was missing. It was just a dull piece of brass, scratched and darkened with age. I had no reason to think about it when I arrived in Ayutthaya. No reason at all. That changed before sunset. I met Maya outside the train station. She was not what I expected from a local guide. She wore old sneakers, black jeans, and a loose white shirt rolled at the sleeves. Her hair was tied back with a pencil, and she carried a canvas bag full of notebooks instead of tourist brochures. When I told her I was recording stories about the park, she gave me the exact look I deserved. Half amused, half exhausted. "You came for ghosts," she said. "I came for history," I told her. She smiled. People always say that when they came for ghosts. Her English was excellent. She had studied archaeology in Bangkok and worked part-time guiding foreigners while helping a conservation team catalog fragments from several temple sites. "I am not a ghost guide," she said as we walked toward a tuk-tuk. "I do not say, 'Here is where the crying lady appears,' or 'Here is where tourists see a headless monk.' I can tell you what we know. I can tell you what we do not know." The rest is for your imagination. "That works," I said. "My imagination pays rent." She laughed. Our tuk-tuk driver was an older man named Samchai. He had a kind face, tired eyes, and the calm driving style of someone who had accepted that traffic laws were more like polite suggestions. He drove us past small restaurants, goose houses, convenience stores, laundry shops, and families on scooters. That was the first thing that surprised me. Ayutthaya was not some isolated ruin in the jungle. It was a living city wrapped around a dead one. People bought groceries beside ancient walls. Children played near temple gates. Monks crossed streets while tourists took selfies behind them. The past was not behind glass. It was right there, breathing in the same hot air as everybody else. Maya took me first to Wat Mahathat. Even if you have never heard the name, you have probably seen the image. A stone Buddha head caught inside the roots of a tree. The face calm. The roots thick and twisting around it like time itself decided to hold on. Tourists lined up to photograph it. Some whispered. Some smiled. Some crouched low because signs reminded visitors not to stand above the Buddha's head. Maya watched me take out my recorder. "Everyone starts here," she said. "Because of the Buddha head?" "Because it looks like a mystery that wants to be solved." "And is it?" She looked at the tree. "No. Some things are not puzzles. They are wounds." That sentence stayed with me. I asked her if she had ever seen anything strange in the park. She took a long moment before answering. "I have seen tourists behave strangely," she said. "That counts." "No," I said. "I mean the figures. People in old clothes." Her expression changed just slightly. Not fear. Not belief. Something more careful. "Many people see things at sunset," she said. "Long shadows. Deep imagination. A place like this makes the mind very active." "But you've heard the stories." "Yes. And stories are also part of history." That was all she would say. At least then. The first strange thing happened at Wat Ratchaburna. We had been walking for hours. The sun was low and heavy, turning the old bricks orange. Tour groups moved toward their buses. Vendors folded umbrellas. Dogs slept in the dust. Maya was explaining how restoration teams tried to preserve ruins without making them look new. I was only half listening. Not because she was boring. Because I had started hearing something. A faint sound. Metal on metal. One clear note. I stopped walking. Maya turned. "What? Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" The sound came again. A small bell. Soft. Close. I looked around. No one nearby had a bell. No monks. No vendors. No bicycles. Just the emptying ruin and the sound of evening insects. "It sounded like a chime," I said. Maya stared at me. Then her eyes dropped to my hand. I had reached into my pocket without noticing. My fingers were wrapped around my father's brass charm. I pulled it out. The tiny bell sat in my palm, dark and dead. Maya's face went still. "Where did you get that?" "My dad," I said. "Why?" "May I see?" I handed it to her. She turned it over carefully. Her thumb brushed the scratches along the side. For the first time all afternoon, she looked truly unsettled. "This is old," she said. "Souvenir old?" "No." The way she said it made my stomach tighten. "What kind of old?" "I do not know." But she did know something. I could see it. She handed the bell back too quickly. "We should go," she said. "The park is closing." "You recognize it." "No." "Maya." She looked past me toward the ruins. For 1 second, I thought she was looking at someone. I turned. There was nobody there. When I looked back, she was already walking. That night at my guest house, I recorded my notes. I still have the file. My voice sounds normal at first. Tired. Curious. A little excited. Then, near the end, there is a pause. 10 seconds of room tone. The ceiling fan. A scooter passing outside. A dog barking far away. Then the bell rings. Once. Inside my backpack. The guest house owner was a woman named Ploy. She was maybe in her late 60s with sharp eyes and a habit of knowing what you needed before you asked for it. Coffee appeared before I requested coffee. A map appeared before I asked directions. And the next morning, before I said a word about the bell, she asked me where I had found it. I looked up from my eggs. "What?" "The little bell," she said. I had not taken it out. It was in my pocket. I smiled, trying to keep it casual. "Maya told you?" Ploy's smile faded. "Who?" "My guide, Maya." The old woman looked toward the street. Then back at me. "There are many girls named Maya." "She works with conservation teams," I said. "Archaeology student. Speaks great English." Ploy nodded slowly. "Ah." It was not an answer. It was the kind of sound people make when they decide not to say something. "Do you know her?" I asked. "I know her family." Something in her face closed. Then she poured more coffee. "In Ayutthaya," she said, "some people believe objects remember." Objects. Stone. Metal. Wood. Things people touched when they were very afraid. I felt the bell against my leg. "That sounds like a ghost story." "No," she said. "Ghosts are easier." I laughed a little. She did not. Then she leaned closer. "If you hear a bell after dark, do not follow it." That was the kind of warning every horror story gives you. And like every idiot in every horror story, I asked the wrong question. "Why?" Ploy looked at me with something like pity. "Because bells are not only for calling people in," she said. "Sometimes they call the dead out." I felt the bell against my leg. "That sounds like a ghost story." No, she said. Ghosts are easier. I laughed a little. She did not. Then she leaned closer. If you hear a bell after dark, do not follow it. That was the kind of warning every horror story gives you. And like every idiot in every horror story, I asked the wrong question. Why? Ploy looked at me with something like pity. Because bells are not only for calling people in, she said. Sometimes they call the dead out. I spent the day interviewing people. Most had nothing useful. A German couple said they had felt heavy energy near one of the temples, which could have been spiritual sensitivity or dehydration. A British tourist claimed his phone died at exactly 6:17 p.m., which sounded dramatic until I watched him use the same phone to film 3 straight minutes of himself feeding a stray dog. A Thai university student told me her aunt refused to visit Ayutthaya after sunset because she once saw a woman in old royal dress standing beside the road, soaking wet, although there was no rain. Then I met Daniel and Kelsey. They were from Oregon. Mid-30s. Married. Practical. The kind of people who labeled their packing cubes. They had visited Ayutthaya 2 years earlier and returned because, as Daniel put it, we needed to prove to ourselves we were being stupid. They agreed to talk if I did not use their last name. We sat at a cafe near the park. Kelsey did most of the talking. We were at Wat Phra Si Sanfit, she said. Around sunset. We were taking photos. There was this line of people moving between the stupas. In costume, I asked. That's what we thought. Some kind of reenactment. But they weren't acting. They were just walking. How many? Maybe 12, Daniel said. Maybe more. It was hard to count. Men? Women? Both, Kelsey said. And one child. That detail made her voice tighten. A little boy. Maybe 6. He was holding onto a woman's sash. Daniel looked down at his coffee. They walked behind a wall, he said. We waited for them to come out. They didn't. Did you hear anything? They both looked at me. A bell, Kelsey said. My hand went cold around my cup. What kind of bell? Small, she said. Like something on an animal collar. Or jewelry. Did you take photos? Daniel pulled out his phone. I kept one. He showed me a picture of the ruins at sunset. It looked ordinary at first. Beautiful even. Red brick. Darkening sky. Long shadows. No people. Then he zoomed in near the lower left corner. There was a blur of gold. Just like the backpacker had said. A small oval shape. Hanging in the air. My heart kicked once in my chest. Can you send me that? I asked. Daniel nodded. Kelsey watched my face. You've heard it too, she said. I did not answer. That was answer enough. She reached across the table and touched my wrist. Then leave before night. Maya met me late that afternoon near the entrance to Wat Phra Si Sanfit. She looked tired. Not sleepy. Tired in the way people look when they have been arguing with themselves. I told her about Daniel and Kelsey. I told her about the bell in my backpack. I told her what Ploy had said. Maya listened without interrupting. When I finished, she looked toward the 3 great chadis rising over the ruins. My grandmother used to tell a story, she said. A ghost story? A city story. We walked slowly. Tourists moved around us in small groups, laughing, posing, checking maps. The normal world was still there, but it felt thinner than before. Maya said that after Ayutthaya fell, stories spread among survivors. Stories of people who had tried to flee through smoke and fire. Families separated in the chaos. Monks carrying sacred objects. Servants leading children through temple courtyards. Soldiers who could not find their officers. Courtiers who refused to abandon the palace. And one story about a bell. Not a large temple bell. A small handbell used inside the palace. According to the old tale, it was meant to gather people quietly during emergencies. A bell that could be carried through corridors. A bell that told those who heard it, follow. This way. Do not make a sound. On the last night, someone was supposed to ring it and lead a group of women and children toward the river. But the bell vanished. The people waited. No one came. By morning, there was no palace left to wait inside. Maya told the story simply, without drama. That made it worse. What happened to the bell? I asked. No one knows. And the procession? She glanced at me. Some families say those people still walk. Not every night. Not for everyone. Only when the city remembers. The city remembers. I thought of Ploy's words. Objects remember. I took the brass charm from my pocket. Maya did not step back, but I could tell she wanted to. My dad said he bought this from a street vendor, I said. Maybe he did. You think this is the bell from the story? I think stories attach themselves to things, she said. That does not mean every story is true. But you're scared of it. This time she did not deny it. Yes, she said, I am. Before I could ask why, a group of tourists passed between us. For a moment, Maya disappeared behind them. When they moved on, she was staring over my shoulder. Her face had gone pale. I turned. Near the far edge of the ruins, beyond a broken wall, stood a man. He was dressed in old clothing. Not a costume from a tourist shop. Not bright or theatrical. His clothes looked faded, heavy, real. He stood barefoot in the grass. His head was lowered. His hands were folded in front of him. I blinked. He was gone. No flash. No movement. Just gone. My recorder was running. When I played it back later, at that exact moment I heard the bell. And beneath it, a whisper. A woman's voice. Not English. Not Thai that Maya recognized. Older, she said. Formal. Almost ceremonial. She translated only 3 words. He is late. I know what you are thinking. This is where a sensible person would leave. Book a hotel in Bangkok. Get on a plane. Throw the bell into a river. Never look back. I have thought the same thing many times. But fear and curiosity are not opposites. Sometimes they are the same rope pulling from different ends. I wanted to know what my father had carried. I wanted to know why strangers had heard the same bell. And I wanted to know why Maya looked like this story had been waiting for her too. She did not want to go back after dark. First. Then I asked her what had happened to her family. She stared at me so long I almost apologized. My older brother, she said finally, used to work near the park. She took a breath. He liked old stories. Too much. When I was 17, he went into the ruins after closing with 2 friends. They were making a video. His friends came out. He did not. I felt the air change between us. What happened? They found him near Wat Mahathat in the morning. I waited. He was alive, she said. But he never spoke again. What did he see? No one knows. Where is he now? With my mother, in Lopburi. She looked toward the ruins. Sometimes he rings a spoon against a glass. The same rhythm over and over. My grandmother said he was copying the bell. That was why she had taken the job. Not because she believed. Because she needed to stand near the thing that had taken part of her brother and call it history until it became less terrifying. Maya arranged a legal way for us to record near the park after hours. Not inside restricted temple interiors. Not climbing ruins. Not doing anything stupid. Just sound recording near approved areas with a conservation volunteer she knew. His name was Krit. He was younger than I expected, maybe 24, with a flashlight, a radio, and absolutely no interest in my ghost project. I am here so you do not fall into a hole, he said. Appreciated, I told him. He looked at my recorder. You hear ghosts, you tell them by ticket tomorrow. Maya smiled for the first time all evening. The plan was simple. We would record night ambience near Wat Mahathat and the open pathways nearby. 30 minutes. Maybe an hour. Then leave. No drama. No chasing shadows. No following bells. That was the plan. The bell started ringing at 10:43 p.m.
Night changes ruins. During the day, Ayutthaya belongs to cameras. At night, it belongs to shape. A broken wall becomes a crouching animal. A doorway becomes a mouth. A row of headless statues becomes a line of bodies waiting for orders. The air was warm, but I had goosebumps. Insects screamed in the grass. Somewhere far away, a dog barked once and went silent. I placed a small microphone on a low stone ledge. Maya stood a few feet away, arms folded. Crit leaned against a post, bored but alert. The bell in my pocket was wrapped in a cloth. It had not made a sound all day. Then it rang. Not from my pocket. From inside the ruins. One note. Clear. Maya closed her eyes. No, she whispered. Crit stood up straight. You hear that? I asked him. He nodded slowly. The bell rang again. Farther away this time. Or maybe deeper. Sound behaves strangely in old stone places. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Then we heard footsteps. Bare feet on dirt. Many of them. Slow. Synchronized. Crit lifted his flashlight. Maya grabbed his wrist. Do not, she said. What? Do not shine light in their faces. The sentence came out so quickly that I knew she had heard it before. Maybe from her grandmother. Maybe from her brother. Maybe from the part of her mind that had stopped pretending. The footsteps grew louder. A line of shadows appeared beyond the broken wall. At first they were only darker pieces of darkness. Then they became bodies. People. Walking. Men in wrapped cloth and old jackets. Women with hair pinned high. A child holding a woman's sash. My mouth went dry. Kelsey had said there was a child. I remember that thought clearly because it was so small and human compared to what was happening. The figures moved from left to right behind a row of ruined columns. They did not look at us. Not yet. Their faces were blurred, not like smoke, but like faces seen through water. The bell rang again. This time my pocket answered. A second chime. Crit swore in Thai. Maya turned to me. Give it to me. I pulled out the cloth. The brass bell was vibrating in my palm. It should have been impossible. There was no clapper. No moving piece. Just metal shaking like a living thing. The procession stopped. Every figure turned. I have never felt silence like that. Not quiet. Silence. As if even the insects had been ordered to kneel. The woman at the front stepped forward. She was not transparent. That was the worst part. She looked real. Dust on her feet. A tear in her sleeve. Soot along her cheek. She looked like someone who had walked out of a burning city and never reached the other side. She spoke. Maya made a sound beside me, almost a sob. What did she say? I whispered. Maya did not answer. The woman spoke again, louder. Maya looked at me. She says you kept them waiting. The bell burned cold in my hand. I didn't, I said. I don't know what this is. The woman's eyes moved to the bell. Then to my face. She said one more word. Maya backed away from me. What? I asked. But I already knew I did not want the answer. Maya swallowed. She called you by a name. What name? Maya's voice dropped. Nathaniel. I laughed once. A terrible, empty sound. My name isn't Nathaniel. The woman stepped closer. The figures behind her shifted. Not threatening. Waiting. That was worse. I looked at Maya. Tell her I don't know her. Maya spoke in Thai. The woman listened. Then she turned her head slightly, as if hearing something behind her. The child in the procession began to cry. No sound came out. His shoulders just shook. The woman reached back for him, but her hand passed through his arm like he was made of smoke. For the first time, her face changed. Not anger. Desperation. Maya looked at me, tears standing in her eyes. They cannot leave, she said. Why not? Because the bell never rang. My fingers closed around it. What do I do? Maya shook her head. I do not know. The woman lifted one hand and pointed. Not at me. Past me. Toward what Mahathat? Toward the tree. Toward the Buddha head held in roots. Krit whispered something that sounded like a prayer. The bell rang again. And then the figures began to walk. This time, they were coming toward us. We ran. I am not proud of that. I did not stand my ground like some brave documentary host with a camera light and a clever closing line. I ran like every cell in my body had voted unanimously for survival. Krit was fastest. Maya grabbed my sleeve and pulled me along a path between low walls. The bell was still in my fist. Every few steps, it rang. Each time it did, the footsteps behind us grew closer. Not running. Never running. Just walking with the certainty of things that had waited longer than fear could last. We reached a clearing near what Mahathat. The tree was ahead. Even in darkness, I recognized the shape of it. The roots. The Buddha head. The famous image from 1,000 postcards now looked less like a tourist attraction and more like a witness. Maya stopped so abruptly I almost crashed into her. A man stood in front of the tree. Not one of the ancient figures. This man wore modern clothes. A faded blue shirt. Dark pants. Sandals. He was thin. His hair was messy. His face was turned away. Maya made a sound that broke something in me. "Anan," she whispered. The man turned. His eyes were empty and calm. Not dead. Not alive either. Maya's brother. I knew it before she said anything. He looked exactly like someone who had walked too close to a story and left part of himself inside it. He lifted his hand. And it was a spoon. He tapped it against an invisible glass. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm of the bell. Maya took a step toward him. I caught her arm. "Maya." She pulled away. "That is my brother." "I know. He is here." "No," I said, though I had no idea what I meant. "Something is using him." Anan looked at me. For the first time, his face showed expression. Recognition. Then he pointed to the bell. The procession entered the clearing behind us. Crit backed toward a wall, shaking. The woman in the torn sleeve stepped forward and spoke again. This time I did not need Maya to translate. I understood. Not the words. The meaning. She was asking for the bell. I looked at the brass charm in my hand. My father's charm. My last small piece of him. A souvenir from a country he had visited before I was born. A thing I had carried through airports, apartments, relationships, funerals, and bad years. A thing I had touched whenever I missed him. And now a dead woman in a ruined city wanted it back. That should have made the choice hard. It did not. Because behind her, the child was still crying without sound. I stepped toward the tree. Maya grabbed my arm. "What are you doing?" "Returning it." "To where?" "I don't know." The bell began to pull. That is the only way I can describe it. Not physically. It did not drag me. But my hand knew where to go.
I crouched near the roots around the Buddha head. There was a hollow space low in the tangle, hidden behind dry leaves and shadow. The bell rang softly. Once. Like relief. I placed it inside the hollow. The moment I let go, the air changed. Not warmer. Not colder. Lighter. The kind of change you feel when a storm moves away before the rain stops. The woman closed her eyes. The figures behind her bowed their heads. Anan lowered the spoon. For 1 second, he looked like a normal young man. Lost. Terrified. Trying to wake up. Maya ran to him. This time, when she touched him, he did not vanish. He collapsed into her arms. Alive. Breathing. Sobbing. The procession began to move. Past us. Past the tree. Past the Buddha head.
At 2:17 in the morning, every light inside that abandoned mansion turned on at the same time. That should have been impossible. The electric meter had been removed years earlier. The wires outside the house were cut. The fuse box was empty. Even the old ceiling fans had no blades left. But there it was. A dead house, glowing from the inside. First, the downstairs hallway lit up. Then the second floor. Then the room behind the balcony. One by one, warm yellow lights appeared behind cracked windows, as if someone had been walking through the house, switching them on carefully, patiently, room by room. I was standing outside the gate with my camera in my hand, trying to convince myself there had to be a generator somewhere. Then I heard the piano. Not a recording. Not a phone speaker. Not a tourist attraction sound effect. A real piano. 3 slow notes. Then a pause. Then the scrape of a chair being pulled across a wooden floor. My Thai guide, Nok, grabbed my arm so hard her nails went through my sleeve.
"Don't look up,"
she whispered. Of course, I looked up. On the balcony, behind the rusted railing, a woman was standing in the light. She did not move. She did not wave. She did not disappear right away like ghosts are supposed to in stories. She just stood there, as if she had been waiting for me to notice her. That was when my recorder, which had been running in my pocket, captured a voice I did not hear with my own ears. A woman's voice. Clear. Close. Speaking in English.
"You came back."
The problem was, I had never been there before. Most people who visit Chiang Mai know the city for temples, night markets, mountain roads, coffee shops, old walls, red trucks, and the slow golden light that settles over the city in the evening. But like every old city, Chiang Mai has another side. A quieter side. A side people do not put in travel videos. There are places locals talk about only in hints. Old properties, abandoned villas, half-collapsed houses hidden behind overgrown gates. Some of them have stories attached. Some have no official name at all. And some are grouped together under a phrase travelers sometimes hear when they start asking the wrong questions. Chiang Mai Haunted Mansion. It is not one official place. There is a themed haunted attraction in the city, the kind built for entertainment, with actors, sound effects, lights, and staged scares. Tourists go there for fun. They scream, laugh, take pictures, and leave. But when locals say, the haunted mansion, they are not always talking about that. Sometimes they mean old abandoned houses around Chiang Mai. Large homes once owned by wealthy families, foreign residents, businessmen, or people whose names have faded into rumor. One story repeats more than the others. A rich family lived in one of those houses. Something terrible happened there. After that, the house was left empty. People later claimed they saw a figure standing in the upstairs window. Others said lights came on even though the house had no electricity. Some heard piano music. Some heard chairs being dragged across the floor. And some swore they saw a person standing on the balcony at night, staring down at the road. I did not believe any of that when I first heard it. I had heard too many stories like it. But Chiang Mai has a way of making disbelief feel rude. And by the time I understood what that house really wanted from me, I had already walked through the front door. I first heard the name Chiang Mai Haunted Mansion from a teenager wearing zombie makeup. That sounds like a joke. It wasn't. I had been in Chiang Mai for 4 days, filming material for a small horror travel series. Nothing dramatic. No ghost hunting equipment. No screaming into the dark. Mostly old places, strange folklore, local stories, and the kind of quiet fear that stays with you after the video ends. On my 4th night, a local friend suggested I visit a haunted attraction in the city. "You want horror?" he said. "Go there first. But don't stop there." That last sentence stayed with me. The attraction was exactly what you would expect. Black walls. Fake blood. Hidden speakers. Actors jumping out from corners. A plastic corpse in a bathtub. A girl in white crawling down a hallway while music played somewhere outside. It was fun. Not scary exactly, but fun. When I came out, one of the actors was standing near the exit, smoking behind the building. He still had ghost makeup on, but without the lighting and sound effects, he looked like a tired college student working a night shift. He saw my camera bag and asked, in good English, "You make ghost videos?" "Stories," I told him. "Not exactly ghost hunting." He smiled like he knew the difference and respected it. Then he said, "This place is fake. You know that." I figured. "You want the real one?" I laughed, because that is exactly the kind of line every traveler wants to hear, and exactly the kind of line every traveler should be smart enough to ignore. "What real one?" I asked. He pulled out his phone and showed me a rough area on a map, outside the busiest part of the city, past a road lined with trees and low walls. "There is no sign," he said. "Big gate. White house. Balcony. Can I go inside?" He looked at me for a long moment. "You can go anywhere," he said. "That doesn't mean you should." I asked him why people thought it was haunted. He took one more drag from his cigarette and said, "At night, lights. Someone has power?" "No power." "Security?" "No." "Then how?" He smiled again, but this time the smile looked forced. "Ask the woman on the balcony." The next morning, I tried to disprove the story. I asked around carefully. Not directly. You get bad answers when you ask directly. Instead, I mentioned abandoned houses, old villas, strange places outside town. People who worked in cafes, ghost houses, scooter rental shops. Most people shrugged. A few laughed. One older man at a coffee stand grew very quiet and changed the subject. Then a woman sitting at the next table looked up from her phone and said, "You need a local with you." Her name was Nok. She worked as a freelance photographer and sometimes helped foreign documentary crews with locations. Her English was excellent. Her humor was dry. Her eyes had that calm, direct quality of someone who had already decided how much of the truth they were willing to give you. "You know the house?" I asked. "I know which house people mean." "Have you been inside?" "No." That answer came too quickly. "You've been near it?" "Everyone has been near it," she said. "Nobody admits it." I asked if she believed the stories. She stirred her coffee, watched the surface spin, and said, "I believe old houses remember what people do inside them." That was not a yes. It was worse than a yes. We agreed to go before sunset. Nok insisted on daylight first. She said if I wanted night shots, I could take them from the road. No breaking in. No touching offerings. No mocking anything. "I'm not here to mock," I told her. She nodded. "Good. Because Chiang Mai is gentle until it isn't." That afternoon, she picked me up in an old silver car that smelled faintly of jasmine and camera gear. We drove out of the city center, past temples with golden roofs, past coffee shops, scooters, laundry hanging from balconies, and the mountains sitting blue and hazy in the distance. The road became quieter. The buildings grew older. Finally, Nok turned onto a narrow lane where vines crawled over old walls and a dog lying in the shade lifted its head as we passed. "There," Nok said. At first, I did not see it. Then the trees opened. Behind a rusted black gate stood a large white mansion, though white was mostly memory by then. The walls were stained green with humidity. The roof sagged slightly in the middle. One side of the house was swallowed by vines. The windows were dark, and many of the shutters hung at angles like broken eyelids. But the balcony was unmistakable. Second floor. Front center. Curved railing. A place made for someone to stand and look down at arriving guests. A place made for a ghost story. Nok stopped the car but did not turn off the engine. "This is close enough," she said. I got out. The air changed immediately. The road behind us was warm and alive with insects and distant traffic. The space in front of the gate felt cooler, stiller, as if the shade around the house had weight. There was no sign. No ticket booth. No attraction. No warning. Just the old mansion behind the gate, sitting quietly like it had been expecting us. The gate was chained, but not well. A person could slip through the gap on the left side where the wall had cracked and tilted away. There were footprints in the dirt, some old, some recent. So others had been there. That made the place less frightening and more dangerous. Abandoned buildings are rarely empty in a simple way. They collect things. Animals. Teenagers. Drifters. Broken glass. Bad decisions. Stories. I told Nok I only wanted exterior shots. She did not believe me. Neither did I. We filmed the front gate, the balcony, the overgrown driveway, and the broken fountain near the entrance. The house had once been beautiful, maybe even elegant. You could still see traces of care in the design: carved wood above the doorway, old tiles near the steps, decorative vents shaped like flowers. The house did not feel poor. It felt abandoned by wealth. That is different. As I recorded, Knock stood near the car, arms crossed, eyes on the balcony. "Do people know who lived here?" I asked. "There are many versions." "Give me one." She took a slow breath. "Rich family. Old money, maybe business money. Father, mother, daughter. Some say there was also a son. Some say servants. Some say foreign guests. The story changes." "What happened?" "Tragedy." "What kind?" "The kind people don't say clearly." I turned my camera toward her. She looked away. "Don't film me saying that." So I lowered the camera. She continued. "People say the mother played piano every night. The daughter learned from her. Then one rainy season, something happened in the upstairs room. After that, the family left. Or died. Or disappeared. Depends who tells it." "And the lights?" "After the house was empty." "The piano?" She nodded toward the mansion. "There was a piano inside. Maybe still there. That got my attention." "You've seen it?" Knock did not answer. Instead, she walked to the gate and looked through. Then she said, very quietly, "There is a chair on the front porch." I moved beside her. She was right. On the porch, near the main door, there was an old wooden chair facing outward, toward the gate, toward us. That alone was not strange. Someone could have moved it. Teenagers, squatters, anyone. But I had just filmed that porch 2 minutes earlier. The chair had not been there. I checked the footage immediately. No chair. I looked back at the porch. Chair. Knock took one step back. "We leave now," she said. It could have been behind the pillar. It wasn't. Knock. No. Daylight first. That was the rule. She was already walking to the car. I wanted to argue. I wanted to be brave in the way people are brave when they have not yet paid for it. But then a sound came from inside the house. Wood scraping over wood. Slow. Heavy. A chair being dragged across a floor. Not from the porch. From inside. Knock stopped walking. I held my breath. The sound continued for maybe 3 seconds. Then silence. A bird screamed somewhere in the trees, and both of us flinched like children. We left without another word. Back at my guest house, I reviewed the footage again and again. No chair on the porch. Then chair on the porch. No person entering frame. No movement. No cut. No camera glitch. The most rational explanation was simple. The chair had already been there, hidden by angle and shadow, and I had missed it. That explanation worked as long as I did not look too closely. But when I zoomed into the porch footage, I noticed something else. The front door was open. Not wide. Just a few inches. When we arrived, it had been closed. I called knock. She did not answer. I texted her the screenshot. A minute later, she replied, "Do not go back tonight." I typed, "So you saw it too?" She did not respond. That should have been enough. I should have stayed in, edited safer footage, and made a video about the legend without returning. Instead, I went downstairs and asked the guesthouse owner if she knew anyone who remembered the mansion. The owner was a woman in her 60s named Molly. She spoke English softly, with long pauses between sentences, as if each word had to pass through memory before reaching her mouth. When I showed her the picture of the house, her expression changed. Not fear exactly. Recognition. "You went there?" she asked. "Only outside. That house has many stories. Do you know the real one?" She looked toward the reception desk, where a small statue stood beside flowers and incense. "Real story," she said. "People with money can buy many stories. Sometimes they buy the wrong one." Then she opened a drawer and took out an old photograph sealed in a plastic sleeve. It showed the mansion decades earlier. Fresh paint. Clean windows. Flowers along the driveway. A car parked in front. On the balcony stood a woman in a pale dress. Beside her was a man in a dark suit. Between them stood a young girl with one hand resting on the railing. Her face was blurred slightly, either by age or motion, but something about her posture felt familiar. Like she was not posing for the photo. Like she had turned at the last second because someone called her name. "Who are they?" I asked. Molly tapped the man first. "Owner." Then the woman. "Wife." Then the girl. "Daughter." What happened to them? Molly looked at the photo for a long time. People say accident. People say illness. People say the wife went mad. People say the daughter fell. From the balcony? Molly did not answer directly. Instead, she said, "Sometimes a house keeps the last thing people saw." That sentence stayed with me. Sometimes a house keeps the last thing people saw. Before I went upstairs, Molly touched my arm. "Do not follow music in that house," she said. I tried to laugh politely. She did not smile. "Music is not always invitation," she said. "Sometimes it is a net." At 11:40 that night, I was back on the road outside the mansion. I told myself I was not going inside. I repeated that 3 times while setting up my tripod across the lane. Not going inside. Not going inside. Not going inside. Knock refused to come at first. Then, at the last minute, she arrived on a scooter, wearing a dark jacket, her hair tied back, face unreadable. "You are very stupid," she said. "I've been told." "No, not funny stupid. American stupid. That's also been said." She did not laugh. The house was completely dark. No lights. No sound. No movement. The night around us was thick and humid. Somewhere far away, a motorbike passed. Then another. Then silence returned. I had 2 cameras running, one wide shot of the house, one closer on the balcony. An audio recorder sat near the gate. My phone was in airplane mode to avoid interference. For almost 30 minutes, nothing happened. That is the part most people do not understand about fear. Fear is not always the event. Sometimes fear is waiting long enough for your own mind to become unreliable. At 12:16, Knock whispered, "Do you smell that?" I did. Flowers. Jasmine maybe. Or something like jasmine. Sweet. Fresh. Wrong. There were no flowering bushes near us. The air had smelled of dust, leaves, and old water all night. Now it smelled like someone had opened a perfume bottle beside my face. Then the recorder near the gate clicked. The little red recording light blinked once. Then went off. "Battery died," I muttered. I walked toward it. Knock grabbed my sleeve. "Leave it. It's right there. Leave it." I should have listened. I took 3 steps toward the gate. That was when the first light came on. Downstairs. Left window. Warm yellow. The kind of light you get from an old lamp with a fabric shade. I froze. The second light came on upstairs. Then another. Then another. Within 10 seconds, 6 windows glowed. The house, dead and sealed in darkness moments before, had come alive. Knock said something in Thai under her breath. "What?" "Prayer." The front door opened. Not all the way. Just enough to make a long black line in the glowing rectangle of the entrance. Then we heard the piano. 3 notes. Slow. Soft. I looked at Knock. Her eyes were wet. "What is that song?" I asked. "I don't know." But she did know. I could see it. The notes repeated. 3 notes. A pause. 3 notes. A pause. Then a chair scraped inside the house. The sound came from the second floor this time. Heavy. Wooden. Dragging. Then it stopped. the balcony doors opened inward. A figure stepped into the light. A woman. Long dark hair. Pale dress. Standing behind the railing. The camera was already pointed at her. I knew I was filming. I knew this was exactly the kind of footage people chase for years. And still, every part of me wanted to look away. Knock whispered, "Don't let her see your face." What? Look down. I didn't. The woman on the balcony tilted her head. Not much. Just enough. As if she had recognized me. Then my phone, still in airplane mode, began to ring. The sound was so normal, so modern, that it broke something in the moment. I pulled it from my pocket. No caller ID. No signal. No service. Still ringing. I answered before I could think. For 3 seconds, there was only static. Then a woman's voice whispered,
You came back.
I dropped the phone. The lights went out. All of them. At once. The house vanished into darkness. Knock was already crying. We leave, she said. This time, I did not argue. Back at the guest house, my phone had no call log. No missed call. No unknown number. Nothing. The wide camera recorded the lights turning on, the balcony doors opening, and the figure stepping outside. But the closer camera, the one pointed directly at the balcony, corrupted at exactly 12:17. The audio recorder near the gate should have died when the red light blinked off. Instead, it had recorded 42 minutes of audio after that. Most of it was silence. Some of it was wind. But at 12:17, just before the piano began, it captured something I had not heard at the time. A child laughing. Then a woman whispering in Thai. Then my own voice. Except I had not spoken. On the recording, my voice said, I'm here. Then the piano played. Then the same woman's voice answered, in English.
You came back.
At 2:05 in the morning, someone knocked on my guest house door. 3 knocks. Slow. I stood barefoot on the floor, staring at the door. Another 3 knocks. I checked through the peephole. No one. I opened the door anyway. The hallway was empty. But on the floor outside my room was a small object wrapped in old cloth. Inside the cloth was a key. Heavy. Brass. Old. Tied to it with a faded red thread was a small paper tag. On the tag, written in English, were 3 words. For the music. I called Knock. This time she answered immediately, as if she had been holding the phone. Did you leave something at my door? I asked. Silence. Knock. Do not use the key. What is it? A mistake. How do you know it's a key? She did not respond. Knock. Her voice became very quiet. Because it gave one to me too. The next day, Knock agreed to meet me at a cafe far from the mansion. She looked exhausted. There were dark circles under her eyes, and she kept rubbing her left wrist as though it hurt. I placed the key on the table between us. She stared at it like it might move. When did you get yours? I asked. 3 years ago. You went inside? She nodded once. With friends? With my cousin. What happened? Knock looked out the window. My cousin heard piano. She followed it upstairs. I stayed near the door because I was afraid. What happened to her? She came back. The way she said it made the words feel unfinished. But after that, she stopped playing music. She had been a music teacher. Piano. Children. She loved it. After the house, she could not touch a piano. If she heard one, she became sick. Why? She said the house does not play music. It practices. That sentence made no sense. And yet I wrote it down immediately. The house does not play music. It practices. Knock said her cousin had found something inside the piano bench. A small book. Not a diary exactly. More like notes. Names. Dates. Repeated lines. What lines? Knock closed her eyes, trying to remember. She comes when the third note breaks. Where is the book now? In the house. Of course it was. I looked at the key. For the music, I said. Knock shook her head. No. For the piano. That afternoon, should have left Chiang Mai. Instead, I charged every battery I had. At 5:30, Knock and I returned to the mansion. The gate was exactly as before. The chair on the porch was gone. The front door was closed. The gap in the wall waited. We slipped through just before sunset. I remember the sound of my shoes on the broken driveway. I remember the smell of damp leaves. I remember Knock walking behind me, not beside me, whispering something I could not understand. The front door was not locked. It opened with a long, tired sound. Inside, the mansion was cooler than outside. The entry hall rose 2 stories. Dust floated in the air. A staircase curved upward on the right. Old framed pictures hung on the walls, their glass cracked, their faces eaten by mold. The house still had furniture. Not much, but enough. A long table in the dining room. A cabinet with no doors. A mirror covered by a gray sheet. And there, in the room to the left, stood the piano. Black wood. One leg repaired badly. keys yellowed with age. The bench sat slightly pulled out, as if someone had just stood up. I did not want to touch it. That surprised me. I had come for the piano. I had the key. I wanted answers. But standing in that room, with the last daylight leaking through dirty windows, the object looked less like an instrument and more like an altar. Knock stayed in the doorway. "Open it," she said. I took the brass key from my pocket. There was a small lock beneath the keyboard cover. The key fit. Of course it fit. When I turned it, the entire piano made a soft internal click, like something waking up. The keyboard cover lifted. All the keys were dusty except three. 3 clean keys near the middle. I did not press them. Instead, I opened the piano bench. Inside was the book Knock had mentioned. Small. Brown cover. Water damaged. The pages were filled with handwriting in Thai and English, mixed together. Some pages were music notes. Others were names. One line appeared again and again. The third note is not hers. Below it. If she hears it, she comes to finish the song. I turned another page. There was a child's drawing of the mansion. The balcony was colored red. A stick figure stood there. Another figure lay below. I stopped breathing for a second. Then I heard a chair move upstairs. Knock whispered, "Close it." The scraping continued. Slow. Directly above us. I closed the book and put it in my bag. The piano played one note by itself. Just one. The sound was soft, but in that room it felt enormous. Knock backed away from the doorway. "We go," she said. Then a woman's voice called from upstairs. Not loud. Not angry. Almost gentle.
Knock.
My guide went completely still. The voice came again.
Knock.
I whispered, "Do not answer." She looked at me with an expression I could not understand. Not fear. Grief. Then she said, "That is not my name." And from the top of the stairs, a child began to laugh. The house changed after that. I do not know how else.
The first time I heard the drums, I thought it was a festival. That was the only explanation that made sense. I was standing alone near the old ruins of Lopburi, Thailand, after sunset, with a camera bag on my shoulder and an audio recorder in my hand. The streets behind me were quiet. The tourists were gone. Even the usual noise of the city had faded into that strange, hollow silence that comes after a very hot day. Then, from somewhere beyond the broken walls, I heard it. A drum. Slow. Deep. Distant. Not music. Not celebration. A war drum. Then came the sound of metal striking metal. Once. Twice. Then a whole wave of it, like swords hitting shields in the dark. I stood there frozen, trying to convince myself there was a normal explanation. Maybe workers, maybe a performance nearby, maybe sound bouncing off the ruins from some street I could not see. Then my recorder picked up footsteps. Not in front of me, not behind me, under me. As if someone in armor was walking beneath the stones. And then, from inside the ruins, a voice whispered in English. "You came back." Lopburi Historical Area is an archaeological and architectural complex located in the city of Lopburi, in central Thailand. The area preserves traces of the Dvaravati civilization, Khmer influence, and the Ayutthaya period, showing the long development of the Chao Phraya River Plain. Historically, Lopburi is considered one of the oldest cities in Thailand. It was once an important center of power during the Ayutthaya kingdom. Local legends say that the spirits of ancient warriors still guard the old city. At night, some people claim to hear the sound of metal clashing, like weapons striking in the dark. Others speak of shadowy figures in ancient clothing, footsteps inside ruined temples, and distant war drums echoing from nowhere. This is the story of what happened when I went there to record silence, and found out the city was not silent at all. I went to Lopburi because I thought it would be easy. That probably sounds strange now, considering what happened there, but at the time I was tired. I had been traveling through Thailand for several weeks, collecting audio for a documentary series about haunted historical places. Most locations were difficult in one way or another. Some were too crowded. Some were too far away. Some had stories that were powerful but impossible to capture on camera or microphone. Lopburi seemed different. It was old, beautiful, layered with history, and close enough to reach without turning the trip into an expedition. I remember sitting on the train, looking out the window as Bangkok slowly fell behind me. Concrete buildings gave way to smaller towns, open land, and long flat stretches under a bright, burning sky. My backpack was on the seat beside me. Inside were 2 cameras, a small tripod, a field recorder, extra batteries, and a notebook already filled with half-finished ideas. At that point, the episode 1 plan to make was simple. Lopburi, one of Thailand's oldest cities. Ancient ruins, old kingdoms, local ghost stories, a few atmospheric night recordings, maybe some dramatic narration over slow shots of stone walls and empty courtyards. Nothing complicated, nothing dangerous, nothing personal. That was the part 1 got wrong. When I arrived, Lopburi looked alive in a way many ancient places do. The old and the modern were not separated. They overlapped. You could see traffic moving near ruins that had survived centuries. You could hear motorbikes passing not far from old stone. Shops, wires, signs, people going about their day. All of it surrounded a place that felt much older than everything built around it. I checked into a small guest house not far from the historical area. The woman at the front desk was named Molly. She was probably in her late 50s, with kind eyes and the calm, watchful manner of someone who had seen enough travelers to know which ones would cause problems. When she saw the microphone case in my hand, she smiled politely. "You make video?" she asked. "Audio, mostly," I said. "Stories, history, legends." Her smile faded a little, but only for a second. "Lopburi has many stories. That's why I came." She looked past me toward the street. Stories are easier in daylight. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She did not laugh with me. That should have been my first warning. That afternoon, I walked through the historical area with my recorder clipped to my shirt and my camera in my hand. The heat came up from the stones in waves. The ruins had that strange gravity old places sometimes carry. They do not need to be tall to feel heavy. Broken walls, dark doorways, empty spaces where roofs used to be, stones worn smooth by weather and time. I kept thinking about how many eras had passed through the city. Dvaravati, Khmer, Ayutthaya. Names I had read in research notes, but standing there, they no longer felt like words. They felt like layers under my feet. Every step seemed to land on top of another century. At one ruined temple, I met a man named Niran. He was thin, soft-spoken, maybe in his early 60s, with silver hair combed neatly back and a cloth bag hanging from one shoulder. He noticed me recording the wind passing through a broken doorway and asked what I was making. When I told him, he nodded. "Many people come for ghost stories," he said. "Do you believe them?" He gave the kind of smile that is not really an answer. "I believe old cities remember." That line was so good I wrote it down immediately. He saw me do it and laughed. "You can use it," he said, "but understand what it means." I asked if he worked there. "Not officially," he said. "I taught history for many years. Now I walk. I talk to people who listen." He pointed toward the ruins. Most people look at broken stones and think they are seeing death. But sometimes, broken stones are not dead. Sometimes they are doors. I thought he meant that poetically. I know better now. We walked for almost an hour. Niran told me about Lopburi's long history, about its importance, about how the city had absorbed different influences across centuries. He never made it sound like a museum. He made it sound like a living thing. Then, when the sun started dropping lower, I asked him about the warrior legends. For the first time, he stopped walking. "Who told you about that?" "I read a few things, and Molly at the guest house said Lopburi has many stories." "Molly talks too much," he said, but not unkindly. "What do people hear at night?" Niran looked toward one of the darker openings in the ruins. "Metal," he said. "Footsteps. Drums." "Like a battle?" "Not like a battle," he said. "A battle." I waited for him to smile. He did not. Then he turned back to me and said, "Do not record here after midnight." I asked why. He only said, "Because after midnight, the city records you." That night, I listened back to my daytime audio in my room. Most of it was exactly what I expected. Wind, birds, traffic in the distance, my own breathing, a few lines from Niran, the dry scrape of my shoes over stone. But one file was strange. It had been recorded at 4:17 p.m. while I was walking through a section of ruins near the edge of the historical area. I remembered it clearly because the light had been beautiful. I had stood completely still for almost 2 minutes, hoping to capture the natural ambience. For the first minute, the audio was normal. Then there was a faint sound in the background. I turned up the volume. Footsteps. Not mine. Mine were easy to identify, close to the microphone, slightly uneven, rubber soles on stone. These were farther away. Harder. Heavier. Metallic. Like someone walking in armor. I listened to the file 3 times, then opened the video from my camera at the same timestamp. The courtyard was empty. No one crossed the frame. No workers. No tourists. No guards. Just the ruins. And the footsteps. I told myself it was probably an audio illusion. A sound from the street bouncing strangely. A motorbike. A loose sign. Something. Travel makes you tired. Heat makes your brain unreliable. Old places make every normal sound feel meaningful. That was my explanation. I slept badly anyway. At 2:13 in the morning, I woke up to a drum. Not outside my window. Not in the street. Inside my room. It was so deep I felt it in my chest before I fully heard it. I sat up in bed. The room was dark except for the thin orange line of streetlight leaking around the curtains. I reached for the lamp and knocked my phone onto the floor. Then silence. I sat there, breathing hard, listening. After maybe 10 seconds, my recorder turned on by itself. It was on the desk across the room. The red light blinked once. Then again. Recording. I did not move. The recorder should not have been on. I was careful with my gear. I never left devices running overnight unless I planned to. And I definitely had not pressed record from across the room. Then a sound came through its tiny speaker. Not loud. Barely above a whisper. Metal dragging over stone. I got out of bed slowly. Every part of me wanted to turn on all the lights. Instead, I walked to the desk and looked at the recorder screen. The file name was not automatic. Usually, the recorder named files with numbers. This one had a title. North Gate. I had never typed that. I had never even connected that recorder to my laptop since arriving. The audio meter moved. Something was being recorded. From inside the room. Then, very softly, a voice spoke. It was not coming from the speaker. It was behind me. You left it open. I spun around. The room was empty. The curtains were still. The door was locked. I grabbed the recorder, stopped the file, and turned on every light in the room. I did not sleep again. In the morning, I went downstairs with bags under my eyes and the recorder in my hand. Molly was at the desk, arranging small papers near a wooden box. She looked at me once and said, "You heard them." I did not answer right away. She did not seem surprised. "What is the North Gate?" I asked. Her face changed. Not fear exactly. Recognition. "Where did you hear that?" I placed the recorder on the counter and played the file. At first, there was only room noise, my breathing, the faint hum of electricity. Then came the metal dragging sound. Molly reached over and stopped the file before the voice. Do not play that here, she said. Why? Some things follow sound. I tried to laugh, but it came out wrong. I need to understand what's happening. She looked toward the stairwell, then lowered her voice. There are stories, old stories, warriors guarding the city. They do not like people calling them. I didn't call anyone. You came with machines to catch voices. That sentence embarrassed me because it was true. A lot of paranormal content online is built around that exact idea. Go somewhere old. Turn on a recorder. Ask the darkness to speak. Hope something answers. But I had not asked anything. Not yet. Molly gave me Niren's phone number and told me to meet him before sunset. Do not go alone tonight, she said. I'm not planning to go anywhere tonight. She looked at me sadly. Yes, she said, you are. By late afternoon, I found Niren sitting on a low wall near one of the ruined structures, watching the light move across the old stones. He did not seem surprised when I showed him the file. He listened without expression. When the whisper came, "You left it open," he closed his eyes. "Did you say anything last night?" I asked. "No." "Do you know what it means?" He looked at me for a long time. "There are different stories," he said. "Some say the warriors are protectors. Some say they are trapped. Some say they are waiting for someone who ran." Ran from what? Niren stood. From duty. That word landed harder than I expected. Duty. I do not know why. Maybe because I had spent so much of my life avoiding that kind of word. I traveled constantly. I recorded other people's histories. I moved from one story to the next. I was good at entering places and leaving before they could ask anything from me. Niren seemed to read my face. "You should leave Lopbury tonight," he said. I almost did. That is the part one think about most. I almost listened. I went back to the guest house, packed my bag, opened the train schedule on my phone, and found an evening departure. I even walked to the station. But while I stood on the platform, waiting, I made the mistake of checking my recorder again. There was a new file. I had not recorded it. It was titled Return. My hands went cold. I pressed play. For a moment, there was only static. Then drums. More than one this time. A slow rhythm, distant at first, then closer. Underneath it, I heard a crowd. Not screaming. Not speaking clearly. Just human sound, fear, movement, breath. Then metal. So much metal. And then my own voice. Not my present voice, tired and confused on a train platform. A different version of it. Lower. Hoarse. Terrified. "I can't hold them," it said. I nearly dropped the recorder. The train arrived a minute later. Doors opened. People stepped off. Others stepped on. I stood there with my backpack on one shoulder, staring at the recorder in my hand. Then the file continued. My voice whispered, "Forgive me." The train doors closed. I did not get on. I walked back into the city as the sky turned the color of old blood. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I do. This is the part of the story where anyone listening thinks, I would have left. Maybe you would have. I hope you would have. But fear is not always a wall. Sometimes fear is a hook. Sometimes the thing that scares you most also knows exactly how to pull you closer. By the time I reached the historical area, most of the city had gone quiet. There were still lights in the distance, still occasional traffic, still the ordinary world holding its ground. But around the ruins, the air felt different. Thicker. Older. I saw Niren waiting near the entrance. I knew you would come back, he said. That doesn't make me feel better. It should not. Are you going to tell me what this is? He looked toward the darkening ruins. I can tell you the story people tell, but I do not know if stories are truth, or if truth becomes stories because people cannot survive it any other way. He led me along the outside of the ruins, staying where walking was allowed, careful not to cross barriers or touch anything. That detail matters. We were not breaking in. We were not climbing walls. We were not doing anything reckless. And still, it felt like we were trespassing. Niren spoke softly as we walked. Long ago, this city was power. Power brings enemies. Power brings guards. Power brings people who must stand at gates while others sleep. The first drumbeat rolled through the air. I stopped. Niren did not. Keep walking, he said. Another beat. Then the metal sound began. At first, it was faint, like someone shaking a chain far away. Then sharper. Blade against blade. Shield against spear. Armor shifting on bodies that should have been dust centuries ago. My recorder switched on in my hand. The red light glowed. I looked down at it, then at Niren. He said, "Do not stop it." We reached a place where the broken outline of an old passage stood against the darkening sky. There was no gate there now, only open space, stone, shadow. But the recorder picked up something I could not see. Wood creaking, rope tightening, men breathing hard. The heavy groan of something being closed or opened. Niren stood beside me, hands folded in front of him. "What am I hearing?" I whispered. "The moment that repeats." Why? Because someone never answered for it. The drums grew louder. My chest hurt with each one. Then I saw the first figure. At the far side of the ruin, in a patch of darkness that seemed too deep for the place, a man stood wearing ancient clothing. I could not see his face clearly. His body was still, but everything around him trembled, like heat above a road. He held a long weapon in one hand. Then another figure appeared behind him. Then another. And another. Within seconds, the broken space was filled with shadows shaped like men. Warriors. Not solid. Not transparent either. Something between memory and flesh. My mind tried to reject what I was seeing. Tried to turn them into tourists, workers, actors, anything. Then all of them turned their heads toward me. At the same time, my knees almost gave out. Niren put one hand on my arm. "Stand still," he whispered. The drums stopped. The silence after them was worse. One of the figures stepped forward. His feet made no sound, but my recorder picked up footsteps. Heavy. Metallic. The same footsteps from my first day. He came closer, stopping just beyond the line of stone. His face was hidden in shadow. Then he spoke. I did not understand the language, but the recorder translated it in my own voice. "You left the gate open." I shook my head. "I don't know what you mean." The figure raised one hand and pointed at me. The air split open. That is the only way I can describe it. The ruin did not disappear exactly. It became two places at once. I was standing in present-day Lopburi, under a night sky with Niren beside me, and I was also standing in the same place centuries earlier, surrounded by firelight, shouting men, smoke, and the terrifying rhythm of drums. The broken walls were whole. The empty passage had a wooden gate. The quiet stones were crowded with soldiers. I could smell sweat, oil, rain on dust, fear. A younger man stood near the gate, both hands on a beam, trying to hold it shut. He was not dressed like the others. Not exactly. His armor sat wrong on him, like he had put it on in a hurry. He kept looking behind him. He was scared. Not cowardly. Scared. There is a difference. Outside the gate, something slammed against the wood. Men shouted. The beam jumped in his hands. Another guard yelled at him to hold. He tried. He really tried. Then someone inside the city screamed. A woman's voice. The young man turned. Just for a second. That was enough. The beam slipped. A gap opened. Hands pushed through from the other side. The young man ran toward the scream. Behind him, the gate gave way. The vision snapped shut. I was back in the ruins, gasping like I had been underwater. The warrior in front of me had not moved. "What was that?" I said. Niren answered quietly. "A memory." "Whose memory?" He did not speak. I looked at him. His face was wet with tears. "Niren." He turned to me, and in that moment, he looked older than any person I had ever seen. "I have brought others here," he said. "What others?" "Men who heard the drums, men who dreamed of gates, men who came to Lopburi and could not leave until they stood here." I stepped back. "How many?" "Many." "What happened to them?" He looked toward the warriors. "They were not the one." The figure raised his hand again. My recorder screamed. Not feedback. A human scream, distorted and stretched until it became almost mechanical. The screen flashed. A new file appeared. Confession. I did not press play. Played by itself. My voice came out of the speaker. But it was not English. The words were Thai, or something older than the Thai I had heard in markets and train stations. I could not understand them. Niren could. He closed his eyes as he listened. "What is it saying?" I asked. He did not answer. "What is it saying?" Niren opened his eyes. "It says I heard her call. I left my post. I opened the city." "No." The recorder continued. The voice shook. "I thought I could save one life and return before the gate fell. I saved no one. I returned to ashes." "No," I said again, but weaker. The warriors stood silently, waiting. Niren whispered, "They have guarded the city ever since, not from enemies, from forgetting." I wanted to run. Every instinct in my body told me to leave, get out of the ruins, get into the street, find lights, find people, find the modern world and hide inside it. But the moment I thought of running, the drums began again. Not outside. Inside me. My heartbeat matched them. The warrior stepped closer. For the first time, I saw his face. And the fear changed shape. Because his face was mine. Not exactly mine. The bones were different, the skin darker from sun, the hair longer, the eyes older. But I knew that face the way you know your own reflection in a dark window. The warrior was not accusing me. He was waiting for me to recognize him. I heard myself laugh once, a horrible empty sound. "That's not possible." Niren said, "Old cities remember." The warrior held out his hand. In his palm was a small piece of dark metal. First, I thought it was a broken coin. Then I realized it was a latch. Part of a gate. I knew it before he gave it to me. I knew the weight of it. I knew the sharp edge where it had snapped. I knew the heat of it in my hand as the city burned. And then I remembered. Not everything. Not a full life. Just fragments. Rain falling into torchlight. A woman screaming my name. A gate shaking under impact. My hands slipping. My feet running. The terrible, impossible decision to abandon hundreds for one. And the moment I understood that the scream had been bait. There had been no one to save. I had left my post for a ghost. A trick. A voice in the dark. The same kind of voice that had called me back centuries later. I fell to my knees. The ruins blurred. The warriors remained still. Not angry. That was the worst part. If they had hated me, I could have hated them back. But they only watched. As if they had been standing there for centuries, waiting for one man to stop running. Niren knelt beside me. "What do they want?" I whispered. He looked at the broken passage. "They want the gate closed." "There is no gate. There is memory." The recorder clicked. Another file began. This one was empty at first. Then Niren spoke, but not beside me. His voice came through the recorder. "Say what you did." I looked at him. He had not moved his mouth. The warrior held out the broken latch. I understood then. The city did not need my fear. It did not need my blood. It did not need some dramatic sacrifice. It needed the one thing I had spent my entire life avoiding: confession. So I took the latch. It was cold. I stood on shaking legs and faced the empty passage where the gate had once been. The drums slowed. The warriors watched. The night pressed in. And I said, "I left my post." My voice cracked. Nothing happened. So I said it again. "I left my post." The metal in my hand warmed. The air shifted. Behind me, the sound of battle rose again. Men shouting. Wood breaking. Drums. Blades. Fire. I wanted to cover my ears. I did not. "I heard a voice," I said. "I thought someone needed me. I thought I could come back in time." The wind moved through the ruins. I opened the city. The drums stopped. Every shadow in the courtyard seemed to inhale. Then, from the empty passage in front of me, I heard wood groan. A gate appeared. Not fully. Not physically. But enough. Two massive doors formed out of darkness and memory, hanging in a frame that no longer existed. They were open. Just a little. Just wide enough for history to bleed through. Nyron whispered, "Close it." I stepped forward. The warriors lowered their heads. My hand found the place where the latch belonged. For 1 second, the vision became real enough that I felt wet wood under my palm. I pushed. The doors resisted. Behind them, something pushed back. Not men. Not soldiers. Something older. Something that had worn the sound of a woman's scream like a mask. It whispered from the gap. "You came back." I almost let go. The voice changed. It sounded like my mother. Then my sister. Then a woman I had loved years ago and left without saying goodbye. Every guilt I had ever carried spoke through that gap. Every unfinished thing. Every person I had failed. Every door I had left open. Nyron shouted something I could not understand. The warriors raised their weapons. The drums began one final time. I screamed and shoved the gate with both hands. The latch snapped into place. Silence fell so fast it felt like the world had gone deaf. The gate vanished. The battlefield vanished. The warriors remained for only a moment. The one with my face stood closest. He looked at me. Then he bowed. Not deeply. Just enough. One by one, the others turned and walked back into the ruins. With each step, they became less human. Less shadow. Less memory. Until there was nothing left but old stone, night air, and my recorder lying on the ground with its red light blinking. Nyron helped me stand. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, I asked, "Is it over?" He looked at the ruins. For them, perhaps. For me. He picked up the recorder and placed it in my hand. That depends on what you do with the story. I left Lopburi the next morning. Molly did not ask what happened. When I came downstairs, she only looked at my face and nodded, as if she could see the answer there. At the train station, I checked my recorder. All the strange files were gone. North Gate. Return. Confession. Gone. In their place was one new recording. It had no title. Just a number like a normal file. I waited until I was on the train before I listened. For the first 30 seconds, there was only wind moving through ruins. Then footsteps. Not many. Just one person walking away. Then the faint sound of metal being set down on stone. Then Nyron's voice. Very soft. He was the last. After that, silence. When I got back to my hotel in Bangkok, I tried to call him. The number Molly had given me was disconnected. I searched his name online. Nothing. No retired teacher. No historian. No public records I could find. A week later, I sent an email to Molly asking if she could put me in touch with him. Her reply came the next day. It was only 3 sentences. I do not know a man named Nyron. There was an old teacher many years ago who told stories near the ruins, but he died before I was born. Please do not send me recordings from the old city. I read that email maybe 20 times. Then I opened the last audio file again. This time, I heard something I had missed. After Nyron says, "He was the last," there is a second voice. Very faint. Almost buried under the wind. A voice I recognized. Mine. But older. Calmer. Finally at peace. It says, "The gate is closed." I never released the episode 1 planned to make. Not the original version. For months, I told myself the whole thing was heat, exhaustion, suggestion, a perfect storm of stress and imagination. I told myself the files had glitched. I told myself Nyron was just a local man who wanted to scare a foreign storyteller. But sometimes, late at night, when my apartment is quiet and every modern sound has died down, I hear something beneath the floor. Not loud. Not enough to prove anything. Just a single beat. Then silence. I used to think that meant Lopburi had followed me home. Now I think it means something else. Old cities remember. But maybe people do too. Maybe memory is not always stored in the mind. Maybe sometimes it waits in stone. In blood. In sound. In the space between one life and the next. And maybe, if you walk into the wrong ruin at the wrong hour with a machine built to capture voices, you do not find ghosts. You find the part of yourself that never left. So if you ever go to Lopburi, go in daylight. Respect the stones. listen to the wind. And if you hear drums after dark, do not follow them, unless they are calling your name. And if they are, pray you are ready to answer. Almost buried under the wind, a voice I recognized. Mine. But older, calmer, finally at peace. It says, "The gate is closed." I never released the episode 1 plan to make. Not the original version. For months, I told myself the whole thing was heat, exhaustion, suggestion, a perfect storm of stress and imagination. I told myself the files had glitched. I told myself Niren was just a local man who wanted to scare a foreign storyteller. But sometimes, late at night, when my apartment is quiet and every modern sound has died down, I hear something beneath the floor. Not loud. Not enough to prove anything. Just a single beat. Then silence. I used to think that meant Loppery had followed me home. Now I think it means something else. Old cities remember. But maybe people do too. Maybe memory is not always stored in the mind. Maybe sometimes it waits in stone, in blood, in sound, in the space between one life and the next. And maybe, if you walk into the wrong ruin at the wrong hour with a machine built to capture voices, you do not find ghosts. You find the part of yourself that never left. So if you ever go to Loppery, go in daylight. Respect the stones. Listen to the wind. And if you hear drums after dark, do not follow them, unless they are calling your name. And if they are, pray you are ready to answer. If the story pulled you into the ruins with me, stay with the channel. There are places in this world where history does not feel finished. Places where old stones still hold voices. Places where the past waits quietly until someone comes close enough to hear it. Subscribe for more True Place-inspired horror stories from around the world. And remember, not every haunted place wants to scare you. Some are only waiting for the truth to come back. Every old town has two faces. One is the face it shows tourists, painted walls, warm lanterns, cafes with open doors, music drifting out into the street, people taking pictures under balconies that have survived longer than anyone living beneath them. And then there is the other face, the one behind the locked wooden doors, the one at the end of a dark hallway, where the paint is peeling, where old family portraits stare down from the walls, and where a mirror hangs under a white cloth because nobody wants to see what might be standing behind them. I went to Phuket Old Town because I thought I was chasing a story about history. Old houses, tin mines, Chinese families, a few ghost rumors locals like to whisper about after dark. I thought I would spend 3 nights recording street ambience, interview a few shop owners, maybe catch the sound of wooden shutters creaking in the rain. But on my last night there, inside an abandoned shop house near the Lang Road, I heard wooden clogs walking down a hallway that had been sealed for almost 40 years. Then I saw a woman in the mirror. And the worst part is not that she looked dead. The worst part is that she looked like she had been waiting for me. Every old town has two faces. One is the face it shows tourists, painted walls, warm lanterns, cafes with open doors, music drifting out into the street, people taking pictures under balconies that have survived longer than anyone living beneath them. And then there is the other face, the one behind the locked wooden doors, the one at the end of a dark hallway, where the paint is peeling, where old family portraits stare down from the walls, and where a mirror hangs under a white cloth because nobody wants to see what might be standing behind them. I went to Phuket Old Town because I thought I was chasing a story about history. Old houses, tin mines, Chinese families, a few ghost rumors locals like to whisper about after dark. I thought I would spend 3 nights recording street ambience, interview a few shop owners, maybe catch the sound of wooden shutters creaking in the rain. But on my last night there, inside an abandoned shop house near the Lang Road, I heard wooden clogs walking down a hallway that had been sealed for almost 40 years. Then I saw a woman in the mirror. And the worst part is not that she looked dead. The worst part is that she looked like she had been waiting for me. The first time I saw the house, it looked too beautiful to be haunted. It stood on a narrow side street not far from the Lang Road, squeezed between a dessert shop and an old pharmacy with faded green shutters. The front wall was pale blue, almost gray in the morning light. Above the entrance was a row of carved wooden windows, their paint cracked by heat and time. The sign outside said the place was closed for renovation, but the front door was open. That was how I met Auntie May. She was probably in her late 60s, maybe older, with silver hair tied back neatly and a gold necklace resting against her collarbone. She was small, but there was something about her presence that made the whole house feel like it belonged to her body. When she stood in the doorway, it was like the building itself was watching me. "You are the man with the microphone," she said, not a question. I smiled, holding up my recorder. "I guess that's me." A young local fixer named Niren had arranged the meeting. He was in his 30s, friendly, always wearing linen shirts and always checking his phone. He helped foreign filmmakers, travel vloggers, and documentary people get access to places that were not exactly open to the public. He had messaged me 2 weeks earlier. "There is an old house in Phuket town. Family wants someone to record story before renovation. Maybe ghost story. Good for your channel." That was enough for me. At that point, I had spent years traveling for strange stories. Abandoned hotels, old cemeteries, roads where drivers claimed to pick up passengers who vanished before sunrise. Most of the time, the stories were exaggerations. Sometimes they were local legends dressed up for tourists. But sometimes, in the right place at the right hour, you could feel a story before anyone told it. That house had that feeling. Inside, the front room smelled like dust, incense, and old wood. The ceiling was high. The floor tiles were patterned in faded blue and cream. Sunlight came through the front windows in long rectangular strips, lighting up floating dust like tiny insects. There was a wooden counter near the entrance where the family had once sold fabric. Behind it, shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, still holding folded cloth wrapped in paper and tied with string. Some bundles looked untouched for decades. Auntie May saw me looking. "My grandfather's shop," she said. "Then my father's. Then nobody wanted fabric anymore. Everyone wanted air conditioning and online shopping." She laughed softly, but her eyes did not. Niren leaned toward me and whispered, "This family was connected to tin money. Very old Phuket Chinese family." Auntie May heard him. "Not rich anymore," she said. "Only old." She led us deeper into the house. That was when the beauty changed. The front room had been cleaned for visitors, but the back of the house felt untouched. The hallway narrowed. The walls were stained with moisture. Old electrical wires sagged along the ceiling. Framed portraits hung above us. Stern men in dark jackets, women with smooth hair and jewelry, children who looked uncomfortable in their formal clothes. At the far end of the hall was a staircase leading up. To the right of the stairs, a long mirror hung on the wall. It was taller than me, framed in dark carved wood. A white cloth covered most of the glass, tied loosely at the top with red thread. I stopped in front of it. "Is that the mirror?" I asked. Niren's smile faded a little. Auntie May turned around slowly. "You already heard about it?" "I heard there was a story." "There are many stories," she said. "Most are not useful." "Useful?" She looked at the covered mirror. "Some stories feed the house. Some stories free it." I waited for her to explain. She didn't. Instead, she continued up the stairs. The second floor was hotter. The air barely moved. There were 3 rooms along a balcony overlooking the central courtyard. The rooms had old wooden beds, cabinets, and mosquito nets tied up in yellowing knots. Auntie May told me I could record there for 2 nights. "Only the front rooms," she said. "Only until midnight." I thought she was joking. She was not. "What happens after midnight?" I asked. The old woman looked at Niren. He looked away. Auntie May said, "After midnight, the house belongs to family." I laughed gently, trying to keep the mood light. Living family or dead family? She did not laugh. "Both." That should have been my first warning. But if people like me listened to first warnings, we would have normal jobs. That afternoon, I walked through Phuket Old Town with Niren. In daylight, the place was alive with color. Tourists took photos in front of pastel buildings. Cafes served iced coffee under hanging plants. Motorbikes rolled slowly along the street. The old architecture gave everything a romantic feeling, like the town had been preserved for postcards. But Niren told me to look higher. "Above the shops," he said. "That is where the old families lived. Business downstairs, life upstairs." Births, weddings, funerals, arguments, everything. Some houses changed owners many times. Some never changed. We passed a row of narrow shop houses with balconies covered in vines. I asked, "People still believe spirits stay?" "Some do," he said, "especially ancestors. Not ghosts like in Western movies, more like presence, memory with a place to sit." "That sounds peaceful." "Sometimes." He stopped in front of a closed building with a rusted gate. "You know Phuket became wealthy from tin mining," he said. "But wealth always has a shadow. Mining accidents, disease, fires. Workers came with nothing. Some died with nothing. Families made money, but not everyone got remembered." "Is that what happened in Auntie May's house?" Nyron hesitated. "There is a woman." "The one in the mirror?" He looked at me sharply. "Don't joke about that." I raised both hands. "I'm not joking." Nyron lowered his voice. "Her name was Lien. At least that is what people say. She lived in the house when the family business was strong. Some say she was the daughter of a clerk. Some say she married into the family. Some say she was not wife, not servant, something in between." "What happened to her?" "That depends who tells it." "And who do you believe?" Nyron stared at the upper windows of the closed building. "I believe old houses remember the truth even when families don't." That line stayed with me. I wrote it in my notebook. At the time, I thought it was poetic. Later, I realized it was a warning. The first night, I set up my recorder in the upstairs front room. I was not planning to sleep there. Auntie May had made that very clear. I had a hotel room 10 minutes away. My plan was simple. Record ambience until midnight, capture house sounds, maybe interview Auntie May in the morning. The room was dim, lit by one standing lamp I had brought with me. Outside, rain tapped gently against the shutters. Somewhere downstairs, a fan clicked in an uneven rhythm. At 10:40 p.m., I recorded my first voice note. "I'm inside the old shop house now. Second floor, front room, rain outside. No major sounds except wood movement and street traffic." I sat on the floor with headphones on, listening to the house. That is the strange thing about recording at night. When you wear headphones, you stop hearing like a person and start hearing like prey. Every creak becomes a footstep. Every pipe becomes a breath. Every shift in the building becomes something moving closer. At 11:17 p.m., I heard a door close downstairs. Not slam, close, a slow wooden click. I froze. Auntie May had locked up and left around 9. Nyron had gone to meet friends. I was supposed to be alone. I took off one side of my headphones. The house went silent. Then, from below came another sound. Pause. Pause. It was not footsteps exactly. It was sharper, hollow, wood against tile. I stood up slowly. The sound moved along the downstairs hallway. I picked up my recorder and walked to the balcony. The central courtyard below was dark. Rainwater dripped from the open roof into a stone basin. The hallway beyond it was black. "Hello," I called. No answer. The tapping stopped. I waited almost a full minute. Then it came again, this time from behind me. From the upstairs hall. I turned so fast I hit my shoulder against the doorframe. The hallway outside my room was empty. But at the far end, near the staircase, I could see the covered mirror. The white cloth was moving, not a lot, just enough to look like someone had brushed past it. I did what rational people always claim they would never do. I walked toward it. The boards under my feet groaned. The air felt hotter in the hallway. I held the recorder out in front of me like it could protect me. The cloth over the mirror shifted again. I stopped 3 feet away. There was no wind, no fan, no open window. The red thread at the top of the mirror had loosened. Before I could touch it, a door slammed downstairs so hard the whole house seemed to jump. I ran. I am not ashamed to say that. I grabbed my bag, my recorder, and my camera, and I left that house with my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth. Outside, the street was empty. Rain ran down the pastel walls. Neon signs reflected on the wet road. Somewhere in the distance, a motorbike passed and disappeared. I looked back at the second floor. One of the upstairs windows was open. I knew I had closed it. Behind the glass, just for a second, I saw a woman standing in the dark. Her hair was pinned back. Her clothing looked old-fashioned, pale, and high-collared. She stood perfectly still. Then the streetlight flickered, and she was gone. The next morning, Auntie May did not seem surprised. She poured tea into small cups in the front room while I played the audio from the night before. The tapping sound came through clearly. Auntie May closed her eyes. "Wooden shoes," she said. "Someone was in the house?" I asked. "Then what was it?" She opened her eyes. "Someone was in the house." I stared at her. "That doesn't answer anything." "It answers enough." Nyron arrived late, looking like he had not slept. When I told him what happened, he avoided looking at the mirror. "Did you uncover it?" he asked. "No." "Did you look into it?" "It was covered." "Good." Auntie May stood up. "You may record again tonight." Nyron turned to her. "Auntie, maybe not." She ignored him. "But you must follow rules," she said to me. "What rules?" "Do not uncover the mirror. Do not go into the back rooms. Do not answer if a woman calls your name." I almost laughed. Almost. How would she know my name? Auntie May looked at me for a long moment. "Old houses hear everything." I should have left. I know that now, but the audio was too good. The story was too strong, and I had that disease all storytellers have, the belief that if something scares us, it must mean we are close to the truth. So I asked her about Lien. At the sound of the name, Auntie May's hand tightened around the teacup. "Who told you that?" "Nyron." Nyron looked at the floor. Auntie May exhaled through her nose. "People talk too much." "Was she real?" I asked. The old woman did not answer right away. Then she said, "There was a young woman in this house a long time ago. She wore wooden clogs. Many women did. She worked here, lived here, died here maybe. Nobody wrote things down properly then." "Why the mirror?" Auntie May looked toward the hallway. In old houses, mirrors are doors if people treat them badly. That sounds like a legend. Most legends are warnings after people forget the reason. She took the recorder from the table and turned it over in her hand. "You record voices?" "Yes." Can you record silence? I frowned. What do you mean? The silence after someone is gone. Can your machine record that? I didn't know how to answer. She handed the recorder back. Tonight, leave before midnight. I did not leave before midnight. That was my mistake. Or maybe it was what the house wanted all along. By 11:30 p.m., I had placed 2 recorders upstairs, one near the front room and one facing the central courtyard. I set a small camera on a tripod, pointed toward the hallway but not directly at the mirror. I told myself that counted as respecting the rule. At 11:52, the house changed. The street outside went quiet all at once. No cars, no voices, no dogs. Even the rain had stopped. The air pressure shifted, like the building had taken a deep breath. Then the tapping began. This time it came from the back of the house. Slow, patient. I whispered into my microphone. It's happening again. Same wooden tapping sound, coming from the rear hallway. I'm not moving yet. That was a lie. I was already standing. The sound continued. Then came another noise, a door opening, long, slow, old hinges stretching awake. I stepped into the hallway. The covered mirror stood near the staircase. The cloth was still, but below it on the floor was a wet footprint. Small, bare at the heel, flat at the front, like the mark of a wooden clog. There was another print 2 feet away, then another. They led toward the back rooms. The rooms Auntie May had told me not to enter. I followed them. I wish I could tell you I was in some kind of trance, but I wasn't. I was scared, fully aware, and making bad choices on purpose. The back corridor was darker than the rest of the house. My flashlight caught peeling paint, old cabinets, rolled mats, and a row of doors swollen by humidity. At the end of the corridor was a green door with a rusted padlock. The lock was open. It hung from the latch like someone had placed it there carefully. I pushed the door. Inside was a storage room. The smell hit me first. Mold. Old fabric. The room was packed with furniture covered in sheets. Wooden chairs. A cracked writing desk. A broken birdcage. Stacks of ledgers tied with rope. On the far wall, black burn marks climbed toward the ceiling. A fire had touched this room once, maybe more than once. I stepped inside. The tapping stopped. My flashlight flickered. Then I heard a woman whisper behind me. Not in Thai, not in English, just breath shaped like speech. I turned. The doorway was empty. Then my recorder picked up a sound my ears did not. A voice, soft, close. A woman said,
Return it.
I did not hear those words until later. In the room, all I heard was a sudden bang as the green door slammed shut behind me. Darkness swallowed everything. I grabbed the handle. It would not move. I pulled harder. Nothing. My flashlight flickered again and went out. I stood in complete darkness, trapped in the back room of a house where everyone had told me not to be after midnight. That was when the wooden clogs started walking around me, not outside the room, inside. Circling. I could smell perfume now. Something floral, powdery, old. The air grew colder. My hand found the wall. I moved along it, searching for a switch, a window, anything. My fingers brushed paper, then wood, then glass. My flashlight flashed back on for half a second. In that half second, I saw the mirror. Not the covered mirror from the hallway, a smaller one, standing in the corner behind a sheet. The sheet had fallen. In the glass, I saw the room reflected behind me. I saw the covered chairs, the burned wall, the closed door, and I saw a woman standing inches from my back. I spun around. No one was there. When I looked back at the mirror, she was still in it. She was young, maybe 25. Her hair was pinned up with a comb. She wore a pale blouse and a long patterned skirt. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of something I can only describe as exhausted anger. She raised one hand, pointed to the writing desk. Then the mirror cracked from top to bottom. The door opened behind me. I ran out of that room so fast I left one of my recorders behind. This time, I did not stop until I reached the street. Niren found me sitting outside a closed coffee shop at 1 a.m. I had called him 6 times. When he arrived, his face went pale before I said anything. "You went to the back room," he said. I looked at him. "How do you know?" He swallowed. "Because she lets people out only when she wants something." "You knew this was going to happen," I said. "No. You knew enough." Niren sat beside me and rubbed his face with both hands. For the first time since I had met him, he looked older than he was. "My grandmother worked for that family," he said. "Not Auntie May's grandmother. Before that. Everyone in Old Town has stories about houses like this. But that one is different." "Who was Lien?" He looked down the empty street. "My family says she was not a ghost at first. She became one after people lied about her." "What does that mean?" Niren spoke quietly. During the tin boom, powerful families kept ledgers. Money in, money out. Workers hired. Workers paid. Workers lost. Some accidents were recorded. Some were not. If a man died in a mine and his family had no power, compensation could disappear into someone else's pocket. If sickness spread through worker housing, names could vanish. If a fire damaged a house, records could be rewritten. "Lien could read," Niren said. "That mattered then. She helped with accounts. She knew where money went." "So she found something?" "Maybe. My grandmother said she kept a second ledger. A true one." "What happened to it?" "No one knows." "What happened to her?" He stared at the blue house. "The family said she ran away." "And your family?" "My family says women do not haunt mirrors because they ran away." Neither of us spoke for a while. Then I remembered the voice from the recording. "Return it." "What does she want returned?" I asked. Niren did not answer. That was the moment I first wondered if he had brought me here for reasons he had not explained. The next day, I told myself I was done. No more house. No more mirror. No more midnight recordings. I packed my gear and checked out of my hotel. Then Auntie May called. Her voice was flat. "You left something in the back room." "My recorder?" "Yes. I'll come get it tomorrow." "No," she said. "Today. I'm leaving Phuket tonight." "Then come before you leave." I almost said no, but that recorder had the audio from inside the room. The whisper, the mirror, the clogs. For a channel like mine, that was gold. So I went back. The house looked different in late afternoon. The blue paint seemed duller. The windows looked darker. The street was busy, but sound felt strangely distant near the doorway. Auntie May was waiting in the front room. My recorder sat on the counter. Beside it was an old ledger. The cover was black, warped with age, tied with red string. I looked at it. "What is that?" Auntie May said, "Something the house gave back." "From the storage room?" She nodded. "Was it Lien's?" She touched the cover with 2 fingers. "My family said it did not exist." Niren arrived a few minutes later. When he saw the ledger, he stopped in the doorway. "No," he whispered. Auntie May looked at him. "You knew." "My grandmother told stories. I didn't know it was real." The old woman untied the string. The pages inside were brittle. Most of the writing was in Chinese characters I could not read, with some names written in Roman letters, numbers, and dates. Niren translated what he could. Payments, debts, shipments, names of workers, names of families. Then he stopped. His mouth tightened. "What is it?" I asked. He turned the book slightly, as if he did not want to touch the page longer than necessary. "This page lists men killed in a mine collapse," he said. "The official record paid compensation to 5 families." "How many died?" He looked at the page. 17. The room felt colder. Auntie May sat down slowly. Niren turned another page. More names, more numbers, more missing payments. Then a different section. Fire damage, medical costs, funeral expenses. And at the bottom of one page, a sentence written in English. The handwriting was sharp and slanted. I leaned closer. It said, "Accounts corrected by T. Reed." Something moved behind me. I turned. The cloth over the hallway mirror was lying on the floor. The glass was uncovered. For a second, none of us moved. Then the front door slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. Auntie May whispered something in Thai. Niren stepped backward. In the mirror, the hallway behind us looked longer than it should have. Much longer, and at the far end stood Lien. She was not watching Auntie May. She was not watching Niren. She was watching me. I felt something inside my chest drop, because her expression had changed. The anger was still there, but now there was recognition, like she had been looking for a face and had finally found it. The mirror fogged from the inside. Letters appeared slowly in the mist, one by one. R-E-E-D. Niren turned to me. His voice was barely audible. "What is your full name?" I couldn't answer, not because I didn't understand, because suddenly I understood too much. "My name is Daniel Reed." I had never told Auntie May that. I had never told Niren that. Online, I used my channel name, not my legal name. But the house knew. Old houses hear everything. Or maybe they remember blood. I need to tell you something now that I did not know when I first entered that house. My great-grandfather's family story had always been vague. There was a man who left New England, worked in shipping, spent years in Asia, and came back with money nobody talked about. My grandmother used to say he made his luck overseas. That was the whole story. No place names, no details, no questions encouraged. When I saw the name in that ledger, I told myself it was coincidence. Reed is not rare. Reed could have been anyone. But Lien did not think so. The lights went out. Auntie May cried out. Nyron grabbed my arm. In the dark, the wooden clogs began again. From the hallway, then another pair joined. From upstairs, then another. From the back room, then more. All around us, the house filled with footsteps. Not just one woman, many people, workers, families, the forgotten, the unpaid, the unburied names inside the ledger. The mirror glowed faintly in the dark, not with light exactly, but with the dull gray shine of old glass catching moonlight that wasn't there. Lien stood inside it. She raised one hand and pointed at me. Then she pointed at the ledger. Nyron whispered, "She doesn't want to hurt you." I looked at him. "How do you know?" He was shaking. "I don't." Auntie May pushed the ledger toward me. "Read the English." "What?" "Read it." My mouth was dry. I looked down at the page. The English notes were scattered across the margins. Accounts corrected by Reed. Fire loss adjusted. Unclaimed wages transferred. No further inquiry. The words sounded harmless on paper, but in that house, with those footsteps circling us, they felt like a confession. Then I found another line. It was written at the bottom of the page, almost hidden beneath a stain. "The woman knows. Remove her before festival week." My hands went numb. Nyron read over my shoulder. He whispered, "Lien." The mirror cracked. A long line split across Lien's face. The clogs stopped. Every door in the house opened at once. Not slammed. Opened. Slowly. One after another. Upstairs. Downstairs. Back rooms. Front rooms. Doors that had been swollen shut for years. Doors Auntie May said no key could open. From the back corridor came a smell of smoke. Then perfume. Then wet earth. Auntie May began to cry. "My family said she ran away," she whispered. "They said she stole money and ran away." Nyron shook his head. "She didn't steal anything." "No," I said, looking at the ledger. "She tried to keep the truth." The mirror darkened. For a moment, I saw something in it that was not the hallway. A room burning. A woman coughing, pounding on a door. A man outside the door, his face half hidden by smoke. He was wearing a light suit. He held a ledger under one arm. And even through the warped glass, even through the smoke, I recognized the shape of his face. Not because I had seen it in a photograph, because I had seen it in my own mirror every morning. The man turned. For 1 second, he looked straight through the glass at me. Then the vision vanished. The lights came back on. The house was silent. The mirror was empty, and the ledger lay open beneath my hands. On the final page, in handwriting different from all the rest, was one sentence in English. "Return every name." What happened after that is not dramatic in the way people expect ghost stories to end. No exorcism, no priest, no screaming spirit disappearing in flames. Just paperwork. That is the strange truth. Auntie May contacted relatives. Nyron contacted a local historian he trusted. I paid to have the ledger photographed and preserved, not because I was noble, At first, I did it because I was terrified. But fear can still push a person toward the right thing. Over the next few days, names were translated. Family lines were traced where possible. Some names led nowhere. Some led to families still in Phuket. Some led only to silence. Auntie May placed a copy of the names on the family altar. Not just her ancestors, all of them, workers, servants, clerks, women whose names had been shortened or erased, men listed only by debt number. For the first time, Lien's name was spoken in the front room of that house without shame. That night, no one heard wooden clogs. The mirror stayed covered. The house felt lighter, not safe exactly, but less hungry. On my final morning in Phuket, I went back alone to say goodbye. Auntie May was not there. Nairan was getting the car. The front door was unlocked, so I stepped inside. The old fabric shop was quiet. Sunlight filled the room. Dust drifted in the air. On the counter was my recorder. I thought I had packed it. Beside it lay a small object wrapped in cloth. I opened it. Inside was a single wooden clog. Small, old, darkened by time. A note sat beneath it. 2 words, not finished. I backed away from the counter. From the hallway came the softest sound. Just 1 step. I looked toward the mirror. The white cloth was still tied over it. But in the uncovered bottom edge of the glass, just where the cloth did not reach, I saw my shoes reflected on the tile. Then another pair appeared behind mine. Wooden clogs. I did not turn around. A woman's voice whispered close to my ear. This time I heard it clearly. Blood returns what blood has taken. Then the front door opened behind me. Nairan called my name from the street. I blinked. The reflection was normal. The clog on the counter was gone. So was the note. I never told Nairan about that last part. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to believe it was over. Maybe because some debts are too old to pay in one lifetime. I flew home 3 days later. Back in the States, I spent weeks editing the episode. The footage was strange, but not impossible. Doors moved. Audio glitched. The wooden clogs were clear, but skeptics would call it pipes or old wood. The mirror footage was worse. Every time Lien appeared, the video corrupted. Just static. Just gray lines. Except for one frame. One single frame. I found it at 3:12 a.m. after replaying the footage for the 100th time. It showed the hallway mirror uncovered. In the glass stood Lien. Behind her stood a man in a light suit. T. Reed. And behind him stood me, not reflected, standing with them, inside the mirror. I deleted the frame. Then I recovered it. Then I deleted it again. I still don't know which version was the mistake. A week later, a package arrived at my apartment. No return address. Inside was a photocopy of 1 page from the ledger. At the top was T. Reed's name. Below it, someone had written a list of amounts. Adjusted wages, transferred property, fire loss, unclaimed compensation. At the bottom of the page, in fresh black ink, was a new line. 1 descendant located. Then came my full legal name, my birth date, my address, and beneath that 3 words, account remains open. That night, at exactly midnight, I heard a sound in my hallway. Pause. Pause. Wood against floor. I live on the 12th floor of an apartment building. There is no wood floor in the hallway, only concrete and carpet. I opened my door. No one was there, but hanging from the handle was a strip of red thread, the same kind that had tied the cloth over the mirror in Phuket Old Town. I have not gone back to Thailand, not yet, but I know I will. Because every few weeks, I receive another page, another copied name, another forgotten debt. And sometimes, late at night, when my apartment is quiet and my computer screen goes black, I see a woman standing behind me in the reflection. She does not scream. She does not threaten. She only waits. And I think that is worse, because a curse can end, a haunting can fade, but an account stays open until someone pays it. So if you ever visit Phuket Old Town, go in the morning. Walk beneath the pastel buildings. Drink the coffee. Take the photos. Admire the old Sino-Portuguese houses glowing in the sun. But if a local tells you not to enter a certain hallway after midnight, believe them. If a mirror is covered, leave it covered. And if you hear wooden clogs tapping behind you on old tile, do not turn around too quickly. Because some spirits are not looking for attention. Some are looking for a name. And if the house already knows yours, it may have been waiting long before you arrived. If this story pulled you into the shadows of Phuket Old Town, stay with Infinite Story Realm for more true location horror stories from places that really exist. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next journey into a place where history never truly stays buried.